Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something really profound. The idea that our deepest pains don't just live in our memories, they get written into our biology. We're going to explore how trauma literally, physically reshapes us, and maybe more importantly, how we can start to heal that physical imprint. Right, let's just dive straight into this question because it gets at a feeling that so many of us know, even if we can't name it. That racing heart that comes out of nowhere, that knot in your stomach, that wave of panic that your logical mind just can't seem to argue with. It really feels like there are two different people living inside of us, doesn't it? One who knows, hey, I'm safe, and another who is forever braced for impact. And this is the absolute core of it all, from the psychiatrist Bessel van der Kolk. See, trauma isn't just some story we tell ourselves about a bad thing that happened. It's a physical state. It's an actual imprint left on our brain and our body, changing our wiring in a way that keeps shaping our reality long, long after the event is over. So let's try to understand the problem first. How exactly does the body become this kind of haunted house, right? Replaying these echoes of the past, even when we're perfectly safe in the here and now. Well, here's what the science tells us. Trauma causes real physiological changes. This isn't just all in your head, it's in your biology. The experience literally recalibrates your brain's entire alarm system. It's like the sensitivity dial gets cranked way, way up, and your system just gets flooded with stress hormones. And this changes everything about how we see this. That feeling of being constantly on edge, of being hyper alert, that's not a character flaw, it's not a weakness. It's a survival adaptation that's just gone into overdrive. Your brain's threat detection system becomes super vigilant, and your body stays poised for a danger that has already passed. You're basically living in a time loop of survival. So this internal state of constant high alert, well, it leads to this fundamental conflict inside all of us. It's like a battle between two different parts of our brain that see the world in completely different ways, and they speak totally different languages. I want you to think of it like this. Your rational brain, that's the calm, composed rider on a horse. It can look at a calendar, it can use logic, and it can say, okay, that was then, this is now, the danger is over. But the emotional brain, that's the panicked horse, and it doesn't understand language or time. It only understands the raw, immediate sensations of a threat. It feels the danger as if it's happening right this second. And this right here is exactly why just talking about trauma, well, it often isn't enough. You can have all the brilliant insights in the world, but you can't reason with a panicked horse. The rider can sit up there and shout, "We're safe, we're okay," all day long. But if that horse feels terror in its muscles, in its bones, it's going to bolt. To really heal, we have to find a way to communicate with the horse directly, in the language it actually understands, the language of the body. So the big question is, how do we do that? How do we bridge that gap between the rider and the horse? How do we calm the body when the mind can't? Well, the secret lies in a physical connection, a kind of information superhighway that runs directly between your mind and your body. I want you to meet the vagus nerve. This incredible bundle of nerves is the main superhighway for your body's autonomic nervous system. The part that runs all the automatic stuff like your breathing and your heart rate. It is constantly sending updates from your gut, your heart, and your lungs all the way up to your brain, basically telling it we're safe or we're in danger. It's the physical basis for what we call a gut feeling. Now, this revolutionary idea comes from the work of Dr. Stephen Porges. His polyvagal theory totally changed how we understand this mind-body connection. He showed that our nervous systems are in a constant subconscious conversation with each other, using these tiny little cues, like the tone of someone's voice or their facial expression, to decide moment by moment if we're safe enough to let our guard down. What Porges' theory gives us is a map. Think of it like an operating manual for our own nervous system. It shows that we don't just have one or two ways of responding to the world, but three predictable, hierarchical levels of survival that we're always moving between. The easiest way to picture it is like a ladder. At the very top, in our most evolved state, we feel safe and connected. When we sense some kind of danger, we climb down a rung to the mobilized state of fight or flight. And if that doesn't work, if we feel completely trapped, we fall all the way to the bottom rung, shut down, our most primitive survival state. So this is the view from the top of the ladder. This is our biological state of thriving. Here, our nervous system lets us connect with other people, to learn, to be creative. Our breathing is calm, our heart is steady. We are present and engaged with the world. This is actually where we are designed to live. But the moment a threat is detected, our sympathetic nervous system kicks in and we move down that ladder. Adrenaline floods our body, our heart starts to race, blood rushes to our muscles, we are mobilized, we are primed, and we are ready to either fight our way out of there or run for our lives. So what happens when fighting or running just isn't an option? When we feel utterly, completely trapped? We drop to the very bottom of the ladder. This is the most ancient, primitive part of our nervous system just taking over. The body shuts down to conserve energy and survive what feels like an overwhelming threat. And that's what leads to those feelings of numbness, disconnection, and collapse. And here is the absolute heart of the problem. Trauma can damage this ladder. It can get our nervous system stuck on those lower rungs. It rewires our biology to make high alert or even shut down our default setting. So we're constantly scanning for and reacting to threats, even when there aren't any. So how do we climb back up? How do we get back up the ladder to safety if we can't just think our way out? What's the alternative? Well, the answer is actually beautifully simple. We work with the body from the bottom up. We learn to speak its language. This is something called bottom-up regulation. It means we can manually reboot our own system. By using the body itself, through our breath, through movement, and through connection, we can send these powerful signals of safety directly up that vagus nerve superhighway. We can tell the panicked emotional brain that the threat is over and that it's finally okay to stand down. You know, there's a reason every single contemplative tradition on earth emphasizes the breath. By consciously slowing your breathing down, especially by making your exhale longer than your inhale, you are sending a direct biological message up the vagus nerve to your brain that says, loud and clear, the danger has passed. You are safe now. And remember that massive surge of fight or flight energy? When you can't actually fight or flee, all that adrenaline just gets trapped in the body, creating all this chronic tension. So activities like dancing, yoga, even just shaking or gentle swaying, they allow your body to finally complete those survival responses it never got to finish. It's about letting the body finish the story and discharge all that trapped energy. But maybe the most powerful regulator of all is just feeling safe with another human being. A reassuring voice, a warm hug, that simple feeling of being seen and heard. These aren't just comforting ideas. They are powerful biological signals that travel up our vagus nerve and tell our entire system that it's safe to start climbing back up the ladder, back to that place of peace and connection. So in the end, healing isn't really about erasing the past. It's about learning to live in the present. It's about reclaiming ownership of your own body and your own mind, learning to listen to its signals, and gently, patiently, teaching it that it's safe to feel alive in your own skin again. This isn't a journey of some giant leap. It's a journey of small, gentle steps back to yourself. Maybe it's just taking one deliberate, slow breath, or stretching your arms up to the sky. Maybe it's calling a friend whose voice just makes you feel calm. It all begins with a simple, powerful choice: to listen with compassion to the story your body is trying to tell you.